If you are a generator or a manifesting generator, you're a solopreneur, you work alone, you'll rarely hear yourself making those classic sacral sounds of aha and So then, how do you actually track your sacral response? Well, there are three ways that I track it myself that I want to share with you. The first is what I call the sacral ooh. Now, this happens when I encounter an idea, when I'm reading something, and I literally feel my mouth just automatically make this circle like, ooh. And sorry, I just noticed that so much. And that's a real signal to me that this is my sacral going, ooh, like I want more of that. It's like I can lean into this. So that's a really easy, simple one. The next is movement. It's like, what does the body just want to do automatically before you're even thinking about it? Does it want to get up? Does it want to reach for something? Does it want to reach for the keyboard and type something? Does it want to sit down? Does it want to like go back? It's really interesting just to notice what the body is doing before you're even thinking about it. And the third thing is irritation. This is a really interesting one because in the past, where there's been an irritation with something inside my business, with a client, with a process, with whatever, I've often tried to talk myself out of it, like rise above it. And I've got a story I want to share to just illustrate how this is such an interesting way that I think the sacral speaks to us and can create really interesting change. So I, a few years back, had people could join my list, not via a freebie because I'd already decided to not go that route. But if they wanted to join my list, they just needed to answer a couple of essentially market research questions. And so I was very aware of why people were joining my list. And there was a theme that kept coming through that irritated me. I was like, people are joining for this particular reason. They want free tips on this thing, and I don't give free tips on that thing. So that was basically the thing that was like, it just kept, and every time I found myself getting irritated by seeing one of these responses, I would say, rise above it, Danny. Don't like, I would just positive self talk myself out of it. Right. So then I would sort of push the irritation away. And then a few weeks later, also, it would cycle back around and I'd find myself irritated again. So then one day I just decided to really listen to the irritation. And what ended up happening is I realized that I didn't want to build my list this way. Essentially, I wanted to build a list of clients. So I went and took away this option to just join my list and made it so that the only way you could join is to actually buy something. And I always remember the moment that I clicked publish on that change on my website and the satisfaction that I felt. It was just like, I was like, okay, yes, my rational mind was still saying, I don't know if this is a good idea, but my body was going, yeah, Danny, this is good. Now, what that meant, and I was up for it. Yes, I'm probably going to build my list more slowly, but with the right people. I thought that was the end of the story. But then a month later, I noticed when I'm looking at my income and everything, the income had jumped. It had basically doubled since making that change. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. The following month, it doubled again. I couldn't believe it. Um, it then leveled out after that. But what I could see in hindsight is I had discoverability working really well for me. A lot of people are coming to my site. But when they got there, if they wanted to do something, and I know what it's like to find someone that I resonate with and thinking, okay, I need to maintain some contact here. What can I do? Because otherwise I may not find this website again or something like that. So I could understand in hindsight that the people who were really wanted to stay connected, um, they bought something, you know, and that was, you know, I would never have discovered that scenario. I would have always believed that the way this should work in online business, or, you know, yeah, when you've got a service-based business that's online, is you have the freebie, you get people on your list, you nurture them, eventually one day they buy. I found out a totally different truth for my business. So one of the things that I have noticed time and time again is the sacral doesn't make sense. Often it doesn't make sense in the moment, at least. It can make sense in hindsight. But if we're coming from our head, weighing up pros and cons, doing all the mental work and not noticing any of our sacral response, then we're not we're not coming from our inner authority. Now, if you have emotional inner authority, of course, you need to allow some time to gather perspectives to see if that sacral response remains a yes, or does it change after you've gathered those perspectives. So I hope this helps you work out how you can understand your sacral response in business, how you can use that to navigate your business decisions. And if this is helpful, you might also like this really lovely training I've got called Art of Responding. It's specifically for solopreneurs in service-based businesses. And in this little training, I go through how to know what to respond to, how to create an environment of response in your business so that you actually always have something to respond to, how to respond through your marketing, and how to respond with an offer. So I'll leave the link down there. You can check that out. And if this has been helpful, I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. Bye for now.